हमारा ये मंच आवाज़ देता है हमारे युवा छात्र नेताओं को जो कि देश भर से यहाँ इकट्ठे होते हैं और अपनी बात कहने के लिए मंच पर आज मौजूद हैं। मैं आवाज़ दूंगी कृष्णा एस जाजू को जो कि महाराष्ट्र अंकोला से आती हैं। आज के विषय पर अपने विचार रखेंगे।
Very good afternoon, everyone. Imagine that you're wearing a diamond-studded necklace. A beautiful necklace with the most rare diamonds built in. It enhances your beauty and enriches your style. But then, due to some negligence, the base of the diamonds, which was not well sealed, starts to hurt you. Hurts you hard and pricks you that you start bleeding. Then the wound would take some special efforts to be healed. Same is the case with globalization. To preface my point more profoundly, I'd first like to express globalization. In recent times, globalization is the most used, misused, and abused word. As a concept, globalization does not evoke a single image, but imagery of disparate meanings. Thus, globalization is universalization, wherein the word globe is worldwide. When we talk about globalization, we also mean it is a process that is taking place under national economy. Societies are being integrated for better trade and communication. Whereas some attempts of Mr. Obama and Mr. Modi for bringing a accord with Islamic parts and India are a perfect example for political globalization. Now let's consider this, a developing nation like India. In 1991, 2 decades back, when India had stuck by poverty, hunger, unemployment, and corruption, government imposed a new economic policy. That was LPG. It stands for liberalization, privatization, and globalization. The 4 basic parameters for LPG were: first, reduction of trade barriers; second, creation of free cash flow; third, free flow of technology; and last but not the least was free flow of labor. Many cases, these objectives were very contrary. As it is rightly said, one man's food is one man's poison. But we cannot deny the fact that it is due to globalization that Indian spices, fruits, and skills have made a global mark. It is due to globalization that many jobless families of India have turned towards a dream of better and better tomorrow. Therefore, though the necklace hurts, remember the necklace, it hurts a bit, but then you have to maintain it. You have to maintain it. Before that, you have to repair it, mend it, and then maintain it. So let's take pledge. Pledge towards India as a superpower, India as a global power. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
तालियां तो आप मेरे बिना भी बजा सकते हैं। शुक्रिया कृष्णा एस जाजू के लिए। और अगली हमारी जो वक्ता हैं यहाँ पर रोजावेल मारानगर मेघालय से एलएलबी की स्टूडेंट अपनी बात कहेंगी आज के विषय पर।
Greetings to all the people of Maharashtra and all the participants of the 6th Bharatiya Chhatra Sansad. Asking, is globalization a necessary evil, is as absurd as asking, is oxygen necessary for human beings? Can anyone lead a lonesome life like Robinson Crusoe in an island for years? No. That is why the story of Robinson Crusoe is just fiction. The term globalization to our country is not new. The history of India bears witness that with the coming of the Aryans, the Iranians, the Greeks, the Mughals, the British, we've had the phenomenon of globalization of ideas in terms of warfare and administration. But this term, globalization, became more familiar to the people of this country in the year 1991 with the introduction of the new economic policy. So let us have a comparison of India without globalization and India with globalization. Without globalization, India would only be an aloof and disunified landmass with different princely states whose military would still depend on elephants and horses. There would be nothing like technology to make lives easier. But with globalization, India is one unified nation with a strong governing body. The military ranks 3rd in the world, and 36% of doctors, engineers, and scientists in America are all Indians. That is the success story of globalization in India. Unfortunately, with the increase of globalization, we are now a victim of many problems. One of those are brain drain. An intelligent person from our country would prefer to work in the United States of America and get paid more than serving his motherland. In this way, India is losing on many brilliant minds who could perhaps change the face of this country. The markets are flushed with foreign goods, which are hampering domestic industry and owing to unemployment of many. My friends, history is repeating itself. During the British Raj, our country faced the very same problem. Isn't it a scary thought to have a repeat of those problems? So what we need to admit is that, yes, of course, globalization is a necessary evil because we live in an interdependent world. But we need to bring in important changes in the new economic policy so that it may serve the objectives of growth and harmony in harmonious fashion. My time is coming to an end, so I'd just like to conclude by saying that if we, the youth of this country, oath to courageously face the grim realities of this nation and rectify every wrong we face in our day-to-day lives, we will see a better India, we will see a brighter India. I like to quote Swami Vivekananda, "Take risk in your life, for if you win, you lead. If you lose, you guide." Thank you.
थैंक यू वेरी मच रोजावेल मॉरनकार। और इस युवा छात्र नेत्री का भी यहाँ पर हम स्वागत अभिनंदन करेंगे भारतीय छात्र संसद के इस मंच पर। बहुत बहुत बधाई। और अगली वक्ता जो हमारे साथ अब शामिल हो रही हैं, तन्वी एस शाह, महाराष्ट्र पुणे से कंप्यूटर साइंस कर रही हैं।
29 January 1886, the world's first petrol-driven car built by Carl Benz was patented. 29 January 1999, Paris prosecutors announced the end of investigation into an accident that killed Britain's Princess Diana. 29 January 2001, in Indonesia, thousands of student protesters marched into the parliament property and demanded the president to quit because of his involvement in 2 corruption scandals. And today, 29 January 2016, yet another history is created when students from more than 25,000 colleges across India gather to discuss the future of their nation. Hello and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tanvi Shah, a student of MIT Polytechnic Pune, and I'm here to talk about the impact of globalization on the world today. Globalization, in simple words, is nothing but the way in which countries and people of the world interact and integrate. Swami Vivekananda defines the need of globalization in a very simple manner. He says, one atom in this universe cannot move forward without dragging the whole world along with it. That there cannot be any progress unless the whole universe follows it in its wake. And it is becoming more clearer every day that solutions to problems cannot be attained if they are thought on radical, national, or narrow grounds. We may have seen traces of globalization in the past, but it visibly began to sow its roots in the 20th century due to rise in industrialization and rise in inventions. And today, in the 21st century, globalization has increased exponentially due to technology and internet. Globalization affects different countries in different manners. Like in developing countries like ours, it has led to increased employment opportunities, increased educational opportunities, increased standard of living, access to new markets, and so on. But in developed countries like America, it has led to higher opportunities to establish a foothold in the economic happenings of the world. On the other hand, globalization has some disadvantages too. Due to it, there is rise in the unemployment rate in developed countries, and also communities may tend to forget their local culture. So to sum up, in my opinion, we cannot ignore the impact that globalization has had in our lives. It is a necessary evil, but the government of every country is responsible to create a balance between its advantages and its disadvantages. In conclusion, I would like to voice America's President Mr. Barack Obama's opinion on this matter. He says, now there are some people who believe we must turn back the clock on this new world, that the only way to maintain our living fortress is to build a fortress around our nation, to stop immigration, to stop trading with other countries, and to rely on old industries. But I, that is he, disagrees. We cannot turn back this tide of globalization, and any efforts to do so might actually make us worse off. Partnership and cooperation among nations is not a choice. It is the only way to advance towards a common humanity and to advance towards a common security. And I believe as well, in more than anything else, that success will not depend on the government. It will depend on the dynamism, devotion, and innovation of global citizens, especially the youth. That is me and you, my friends. Remember, coming together is beginning, being together is progress, and progressing together is success. Thank you. Jai Hind.
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया तन्वी एस शाह। बिल्कुल ठीक कहा आपने कि सरकारों को चौकन्ना रहने की ज़रूरत है और एक सामंजस्य बैठाने की ज़रूरत है। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद और आपका अभिनंदन हमारे इस भारतीय छात्र संसद के मंच पर। और हमारी अगली स्पीकर नेदरलैंड से आती हैं। एमआईटी में इस समय नेदरलैंड का एक डेलीगेशन आया है, मिरांडा मेलिस अब हमें एड्रेस करेंगी। मिरांडा मेलिस, ओवर टू यू।
Thank you. I feel so privileged to speak here, and I'm overwhelmed by your kindness here in India. I think that I, and we the Netherlands in general, can learn a lot from your hospitality. But I also hope that you will learn something from me in the coming minutes. My name is Miranda Melis. I'm a student at the VU University in Amsterdam, the Netherlands. And although my study takes a lot of time, I also like to spend some of my time on voluntary work. Currently, I'm chair of the research committee of the Dutch National Student Association. The governments and universities recently changed their legislations regarding entry requirements and financial support, causing more pressure on students. We could choose to accept these new legislations, but that's not what we did. In the coming months, we will collect the experiences and opinions of thousands of students all over the Netherlands by conducting questionnaires and interviews. We even managed to make some appointments with several members of the Dutch Parliament. And I will present our results during a big congress about higher education in June. That's what democracy means to me. Even we, as students, can influence our governments in their decision making. You might think now, what's this girl talking about in a session about globalization? I think that we can not only unite in our own countries, but we can inspire each other all over the world with our ideas and visions. One of my fellow students, Roelien, is involved in an international student association called ISAC. One of their goals is to create dialogues in which students exchange cultures, ideas, and visions. I think that we, as students, are all able to create a world in which we all, even by small initiatives, can contribute to democracy. But we will not reach this by passive listening. We have to rise up, take action ourselves, to make sure that our voices are heard. Shukriya.
ओह, धन्यवाद, बहुत बढ़िया, वेरी गुड। मिरांडा मेलिस ने अपनी बात कही। युवाओं को खड़े होना पड़ेगा, इस देश के युवाओं को और दुनिया के युवाओं को, और भारतीय छात्र संसद के मंच से हम उनको भी यहाँ पर फेलिसिटेट करते हैं आपकी तालियों के साथ। मिरांडा मेलिस, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।